minutes. The chair recognizes the gentlewoman from New Hampshire.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My amendment to the fiscal year 2019 Defense Appropriations Bill will fund the first ever study of a subject the Department of Defense has identified as, quote unquote, one of the most significant barriers to sexual assaults being reported. The amendment carries with it bipartisan support, and I'd like to thank Republican Representative Mia Love and Democratic Congresswoman Jackie Speer for joining me in co-sponsoring this amendment because they recognize its importance. For far too long, service members have survived sexual assaults only to suffer in silence. They've refused to bring their assailants to justice and receive medical attention, not because they fear their attacker, but rather they fear a military policy which requires that their commanders punish them for minor violations. These transgressions are brought to light during the investigation of their assault. Consequently, many survivors decide against reporting their attacks and bringing their assailants to justice. A RAND survey of military members who survived sexual assaults but refused to report the attacks found 22% feared being punished for collateral misconduct. The list of survivors who have had their military careers ruined because they demanded justice is also lengthy. But the only facts I can offer you are a survey and anecdotal evidence. Not a single branch of the military systematically tracks this collateral misconduct. Our only previous effort to examine an aspect of the subject came in 2016. The FY 2017 NDAA, which passed with bipartisan support, directed the Pentagon's Inspector General to review the cases of survivors who were separated from the service after reporting their assaults. The IG 22% of these survivors couldn't have their cases reviewed because their military records had gone missing. Moreover, 67% of the records were incomplete. This funding will support a first-ever study to be conducted by Defense Advisory Committee on Investigation, Prosecution, and Defense of Sexual Assault in the Armed Services, otherwise known as DAC-IPAD. The study was introduced by my bill, required by the fiscal year 2019 NDAA, which the House passed earlier this year. The funds would pay for the lawyers needed to fund a long overdue, in-depth, and independent review of collateral misconduct. We know that collateral misconduct is an issue, but we need to know just how pervasive it is and gather information on when and how it manifests to empower our commanders to hopefully solve this problem. We owe it to our men and women in uniform to study and review collateral misconduct. And with that, I thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentlelady reserves. What purpose does the gentlewoman from Texas seek recognition?
I rise to claim time in opposition, but I'm certainly not opposed to this amendment.
Without objection, the gentlelady is recognized for 5 minutes.
The military and society at large must do more to change the stigma of sexual assault so victims are not afraid of retaliation when coming forward and reporting the crime. This bill provides $318 million for sexual assault prevention and response programs at the service level and at the Department of Defense Sexual Assault Prevention and Response Program. This is $35 million above the President's request. I understand this amendment funds a report required by the 2019 House-passed National Defense Authorization Acts, which we do not object to. I thank the gentlelady, and I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. The gentlewoman from New Hampshire.
Thank you very much, and I will yield back the balance of my time.
The gentlelady yields back. The question is on the amendment offered by the gentlelady from New Hampshire. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The amendment is agreed to.